Today I'm going to show you how to easily make a stacked melon and pumpkin farm that produces over 15,000 drops per hour. It requires no rails or minecarts, very few hoppers, and you can even easily fit it inside of a single chunk. Let's go. Now, before we get started, let's go over the materials that you're going to need. We're looking at this much for most of your building blocks, your dirt to plant on, your smooth stone here, which can be any solid block is fine. And here is the seeds that you're going to need to get started. You will want to get all of these seeds prior to starting. You don't really want to start with one and work your way through unless you're building one layer at a time. You're not part of the material list. And then on this side, we have all of the redstone dust you're going to need, all the pistons you're going to need. Yes, it is a little piston heavy. That's just how these things work. Again, you can start with just one layer or do multiple layers and work your way up. But for the full 7 layers that we're building today, this is what you're going to need. And then here is all the chests and other components that you're going to want to use as well. The glass does not have to be glass. Any solid block in that place would be perfectly fine. And yes, you do have to use diorite stairs because I want to torture you by making you use diorite stairs. Don't use any other stairs. Okay, so first things first here is the location that you put this farm. You could put it anywhere. It's fine. Now we're gonna make this farm a certain size. You could technically make it bigger if you want to, or even smaller if you want to. And the bigger you make it, honestly, it gets kind of laggy. The farm is so fast. So we're gonna stick with a very specific size here. And our farm is going to be 15 blocks wide by 15 blocks wide. And the reason we're doing that is because a lot of people like to be able to fit the farm inside of a chunk. If you are looking to fit the farm inside of a chunk, then I don't need to tell you how to find chunk borders. You already know how. If fitting this farm inside of a chunk isn't something that you're worried about, or you don't know what really that means, I wouldn't worry about it because it's not going to be a big deal. Just kind of follow the video as usual. But I am going to align this thing inside of a chunk. I have my add-on here that you see says chunk corner, chunk edge, etc. So we're just going to follow that and make this a 1 chunk sized farm by marking out our area. If you want this resource pack you see listed kind of at the top right hand side of the screen, you see the display for it there, then check out my Discord channel. I have it listed for download there. Okay, so we kind of have the center of our farm marked out here, but like I said, we're going to do a 15 by 15 version of this farm. So you can pick any one of these. It's fine. We're just going to kind of go up from here. I'm just going to kind of mark this for now as my middle of the farm. Now I'm going to make a kind of like simple makeshift storage system. It doesn't have to be anything big or special. Make your storage system however you want to. We're going to do some double chests coming out the sides just like this, and we'll probably stack them maybe about 3 high. I think will be enough for AFK of a short period of time. This farm does generate quite a lot of drops, so if you're going to run this for long periods of time, you may want to make your storage system a little bit bigger by making the chests go up higher, or by finding a way to add additional chests in to the system like that. So next, I'm just going to put a temporary block on top of each chest like this. We're going to face hoppers going forward like this, like this. All right, there we go. And then one final time, I'm just going to add in one more set of hoppers facing forward. And then I'm going to face a hopper into the side of each one of these. This is actually going to be where all of our drops are going to come to, is just one little area right here. We can get rid of those temporary blocks. We do no longer need them. Okay, next we're going to trace out the size that our melon and pumpkin farm floor is going to be. So what you want to do is go out each side by 6. And then don't build the whole platform yet. Just kind of go ahead and square it off. This is going to let you know the size that you're working with to make putting everything else down a little bit easier. And then you go ahead and get rid of these middle dirt blocks for now. They're just going to get in your way until we work our way up and into this portion of actually placing down the dirt. The next thing we want to do is we want to kind of figure out where our water is going to go. I'm actually going to go ahead and put a ring around here too. We need water because water is going to make our crops grow faster. So having water in the area is going to be a good idea. And to find a placement of the water, let's go ahead and let's get a stair on us. Like I said, remember, diorite stairs. Has to be diorite stairs. And also you're going to want to get some water on you, and then just kind of go out diagonal. 1 and then 2, and then put your stair down like right there. Should be good. Do the same thing here, and then I'm just going to face it the same way just so it kind of looks right. And then when you found out you went 1 block too far on one side, fix that error because that definitely happened. All right, next what you can do is you can surround 3 sides of this thing with blocks. That way it doesn't leak water everywhere. And just go ahead and get your water in it now. Okay, we need to make sure we keep our farm well lit. So we're going to put some type of light source on top of each one of these guys. It could be anything that you can sit there. It could be a lantern. I'm using a shroom light, whatever. Put a light on top of that, and then come over to your corner right here and go up 1, 2, 3 blocks. Erase 2 of those, and then put a piston facing down right here. We're actually going to go ahead and we're going to make a grid-like pattern here where every other block we have a piston, because these pistons are going to be breaking our melons and pumpkins. And I'd like to kind of show you, let me get 2 rows in here so you can see. I'm going to show you exactly how and why this works. You can see I have 2 different layouts here. This is a traditional design that a lot of people used to use and some people still use. And this is an updated design where we're going to get faster crop growth. So first of all, if you take seeds of any type, let's say we do all melons right here and all melons right here, the speed in which they will grow is actually cut in half, because whenever you have a same seed diagonal from each other, it's going to grow at half the speed than if we got rid of these melon seeds right here and put pumpkin seeds down. So now this will grow twice as fast with melon on one side and pumpkin on another as it would have with melon and melon. Why does this checkerboard pattern work better? Well, let's use that same little concept there. Let's do pumpkins across here, pumpkins across here, melons across here, and melons across here. Same amount of spaces, 18 and 18. The reason why this is going to work faster is because these melons and pumpkins, they have 1, 2, 3, 4 spots to grow in all the way around. So let me go ahead and get these crops up to full growth height first. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slightly speed up how fast they grow. And what you'll see is the crop layout on the right hand side is, well, hold on, I didn't say go yet. The crop layout on the right hand side is going to fill in a little bit faster. As you can see, it's filling in not just a little bit faster, a lot faster, because of all the space that it has. Eventually, it slows down a little bit because this guy right here only has 2 spaces to go to. All of these ones are grown, so this is only 1 space. So it does kind of slow down towards the end. But for how quickly we're going to be harvesting these melons and pumpkins, this route ends up being much, much faster than this route. So applying that, we're going to go back through here and we're going to place down all of our pistons. We're actually going to skip the spot above the light here. We don't want a piston to be able to push that down. So we're going to just put a block right there. We're going to continue our checkerboard pattern. Now, the reason I give you guys this additional information is with that knowledge, you should be a little bit more prepared and more able to make this type of farm on your own. Maybe you don't want to use the exact layout I have here in terms of how big it is or the fact that it's a square. Maybe you want to make a long rectangle of it. You want to fit it in your space, which is perfectly fine and understandable. I always try to give people the underlying mechanics on why things work the way that they work. That way you can kind of do things on your own. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to do what I've been doing here and finish off this layer. Okay, so now to do the crop portion of things. So let's start on this side right here. So I got a little bit more room. I'm going to go ahead and just do a few rows of dirt right here, just so I can still kind of reach everything. And we need to give ourselves farmland, right? But we have to make sure we do it in the right spots, because in that farmland spot is where our seeds are going to go, like this, right? And our pistons, they're going to be extending downwards whenever they detect crop growth. So we don't want them to punch the seeds out, because that's not going to do anything for us. That's actually going to break our farm. What we want to make sure we do is we start our tilled ground underneath a regular solid block that we have right now. So we're just going to go ahead and do that. And all you need to do from there is create a grid-like pattern, not like I did right there. And that grid-like pattern is going to kind of put us in the right spot to accomplish what we looked at over there and land in that right positioning underneath all of these solid block parts. So go through one area at a time, just like I'm kind of doing right now. And then once you get your segment done, before you move on, make sure you do like we did over there, where you will go 1 row with, say, your pumpkin seeds like this, and then you go a row with your melon seeds. Make sure you alternate every time so you can get that fast crop growth. Remember, you don't get any benefit out of making everything one type of seed, because it's going to cut the rates in which everything is growing in half anyways. And then once you get done with doing those couple of rows, go ahead, add in a couple more and continue on. If you're enjoying today's video, help it get discovered by more people by clicking the like button and leaving a comment. Also, if you enjoy my videos, click the subscribe button, join my Discord channel, and become a channel member by clicking the join button. Members get awesome perks, including access to my members only Minecraft servers. Now back to the video. Okay, so now with this portion done, there's 2 ways that you can end up doing this farm. there is the fastest way, which is going to cost you a lot of resources. It's probably faster than what you're going to end up needing, and it is prone to getting stuck unless you chunk align it. If you do chunk align it, it's not prone to getting stuck, at least it shouldn't. And then there is the easier way. The easier way is going to be a little bit more compact, so you can fit more layers vertically because it's one block less tall per layer, and it's going to use less resources. And this is actually the method that I prefer. The speed difference is not that much slower. First, just to very quickly show you the method in which you can do the faster way, let me get myself some redstone dust. And for this method, what we end up needing to do is we need to put an observer facing down, looking at every single seed, stalk, or whatever you want to call it, sapling. Is it a sapling? Whatever. The crop. Make it look at the seeds down there, and you got to use a observer for every single one. Now, since we're not going to use this method in this tutorial, and I'm just doing this to show you guys, I'm just going to stop right here. What you would do is you would put a solid block on top of each piston like this, and then on top of the back of each observer here, you would put a piece of redstone dust just like this. And then just to kind of show you what would happen, let's grab some bone meal so we can just kind of simulate the growth of the crop a little bit. And this observer, as you can see, is looking down at, let's pick one in the middle. Let's pick this one right here. So when, okay. See, look, growth is happening already. Whenever this grows, the 4 pistons around it would go down. So once you have a fully mature stalk like this, at some point, a melon is going to grow in one of these 4 spots. This observer will see that melon grow. It will then send a redstone signal to this little piece of redstone right here, and that will power this piston, this piston, this piston, and this piston. But we're not going to use that method. Looking at it, it's actually not one block taller than the other method, so they are just as compact as each other. If you want to do it that way, you can. But I feel like that's just too many observers. I don't think it's really that necessary. You don't get that big of a speed boost out of it, and I'm going to show you the other way of doing this instead. Okay, now that we have things set back the way that they're supposed to go, what we could do is we could take an observer, and instead of putting one in every single slot, we're only going to put it in a few selected slots. So let's pick some somewhat central areas, and we're going to put a total of, I think, 8 of them in this area, right? So let's pop out this side right here, this one right here. We'll kind of hit these, like all these corners, we'll keep them somewhat symmetrical. Let's go ahead and let's pick this. This row's a little bit different, so we'll pick maybe one up here, one right here, and one right here. Now we have 8 of them. If you wanted to add in a couple more, you could, but I don't think it's necessary. And then you just need to cover everything with redstone dust. Just go all the way around and cover every single slot with redstone dust. And there you go. So now to do that same experiment we did a moment ago, now whenever a melon or pumpkin grows in a slot that's not underneath an observer, let's say we grow this stalk, you see nothing's happening. This can grow a melon or pumpkin in any of these locations. Nothing's going to happen. It's just going to sit there, which is a little inefficient, a little bit. But since we do have 8 of these being watched, it's going to trigger this system off frequently enough to where you're not going to have too many melons and pumpkins sitting at a time. And then whenever one of them that is underneath the observer does trigger off, it's actually going to make most of the farm get triggered. Not all of it, but it's getting, if this one's going off, you see, actually just went right there. It's getting like half the farm, right? So this way is a lot more material friendly, but you can do it either way. It's whatever your preference is. I try to keep things a little bit easier for survival play for the average player. So for the remainder of this tutorial, we're going to take this method. But next, I need to show you guys how you're going to stack this one on top of the other. And we're going to start out first by going through and just marking out all the rest of our floors. Now, what we're going to be able to do here is every 4 blocks, we're going to be able to do a new floor. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, and then 4. This is going to be our next new floor. So if I'm just marking it out for you, it's going to kind of go right above this redstone dust here. That's going to be our next floor. We can go up again, 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's going to be our next floor right there. Now you can do as many floors as you would like to do. We're going to do 7 in today's tutorial because I feel like that's the optimal number, and it's about as much as the collection system we're going to use is going to be able to handle. But if you would like to do 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, those would all be fine as well. Okay, now that we have all of the floors that we want laid out, we're actually going to set up for our item collection before we continue. And the reason we're going to do that is because as you're building this farm is going to keep producing, and you're not really going to be able to reach and get these items in here on your own and it's going to generate a little bit of lag potentially depending on how long it takes you to do everything. So we're going to be using a special collection system here. Typically speaking, you would use a minecart system to collect everything from underneath. The reason why we're not doing a minecart collection system here is, one, it costs a lot more. You need a lot of rails, you need hopper minecarts. It's a lot more complex. You got to know where to run the rails, how to make them go up and down between different floors, unload everything from the minecart. It can be very complicated for some people to do. Also, it's not very efficient. You add in an extra 2 blocks for every layer that you do, making this type of design a lot harder, a lot more resource heavy to build. And then finally, it would make the farm probably have to be a lot smaller to be able to have a cutout area for a minecart to actually travel up and down between the floors, or it would take the collection system outside of the chunk that you're working in, and it would kind of limit the aesthetic design that you may want, because this is a perfect size for like some type of tower to go inside of. But if you start making it much bigger or have some type of like outcropping, it's going to get outside of that range. So for a lot of reasons, this route of using the Allay is going to be best. And if you want to know more about getting the Allay, where to get it, how to get it, and how to get a lot of them, I do have a video on that where it shows how to create an Allay cloning station. I show you where to get the Allay, how to get it to where you want to get it, and how to very easily make a lot more of them. So check out that video. It'll be linked in the description below, as well as there's a card on the top right hand side of the screen right above my head over here. Okay, so what you're going to do is go to your middle layer. In this case, since we worked in odd numbers, we have 7. We're going to go to layer 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. This one right here. And I want to go to the middle of this layer. I'm going to come out 1 temporary block and put a note block right here, because this is where my Allays are going to end up throwing all of their items. Now, I can't put anything on top of the note block, because if I do, it's going to block the sound that the note block makes, and we don't want that to happen. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to go underneath the note block. We're going to put a bone block down. I recommend using a block of bone or a block of gold, because it makes the sound that the note block makes a lot quieter, which doesn't matter for the Allay, but it matters to the player because you don't have to listen to your farm as much. So gold or bone, either way would be fine. And then what you're going to do is you're going to come down 1, 2 blocks, pop that one out, face an observer downwards like this. So it's looking down. Face another observer upwards like this. And as you see, you've created yourself a clock. This thing is constantly going off now, which the Allays will be attracted to. Now, what you want to do is you want to make sure the Allays cannot throw anything on top of this guy. So go ahead and place yourself trapdoors on each side like this, and then go up an additional 3 trapdoors. So you can come right here and go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. And then close them all like this, and then place one on top here so no Allays get stuck on the inside of there. And that's it. This part you can leave all blank. I had these blocks in here. You don't really need those either. And then that's it. That's your Allay collection system. So now is when you would actually want to get your Allay and bring them in. Now for this size farm, you're going to want to have 5 Allays for melons and 2 Allays for pumpkins. The reason why is because the melons break into slices. So each time a melon's broken, it'll drop like maybe 4 or 5 melon slices. Whereas the pumpkins is just 1 pumpkin per pumpkin, right? So we want to make sure that our Allays are going to be able to easily enough travel up and down the different floors and then get all of the items. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you're going to give all of them melon slices. At that point, they're now linked to this, and they're going to look for melon slices, and then bring 2 more in, and then give them pumpkin slices. What? From here, you're good to repeat the process that we did here on all of your remaining floors. So what we would do is we would kind of trace ourselves out to the edge here, give ourselves that border just like we did before, and go through the same process in the same order that we did before as well. I would do your pistons and blocks first, then kind of go through to your farmland, and then from the top place down your observers and redstone dust. I decided on this process because it would be the easiest to do in survival Minecraft, to go from the bottom to the top and have the least amount of obstacles in the way. So go ahead and get all of your layers in now. And there we go. So the farm is running. I let all of the crops grow, and as you can kind of see what's happening here, we're getting some growth. It sits there for a little bit, and then pretty regularly it is being broken, and the Allays are, they're doing their job. They're doing work right now. And then some other suggestions I would have for you is to dress up the outside of this some or cover it up. So first of all, keep the allays from getting out the top here. And then I would say at a minimum, you want to go through and block all of these like open layers. So like this area right here and this area right here that goes around. That way you don't have to worry about the allays getting out. Maybe put a building around it or some type of cool decorative blocks, or just use glass so you can kind of look in and see what's going on. But that way the allays don't get out. It shouldn't really be a whole lot of a problem, but what you may find is if you kind of go a little bit far away and the allays run out of items to get attracted to for a short period of time, they may have worked their way outside of the range of that temporarily enough, or due to some type of bug that exists, and they may come over to you and throw the crops at you. Not the end of the world, but if you put a building around it, you know you're good to go. You don't have to worry about them escaping in any way, shape, or form, and they will be locked in here forever. Oh, and I had to come back here because one thing I forgot to show you guys to do, just to make sure you don't lose any potential drops, is go ahead and place a block right here and just kind of bring it all the way up to the observers right here. That way you don't get any blocks trapped right there. And I would add a hopper, but then you're going to throw off like how evenly distributed your chests are likely to be. So row of blocks going straight up. If you would like to get a copy of today's world, you can visit the link down in the description below to download. If you like today's video, please click the like button and consider subscribing to the channel, as well as dropping a comment down below. And a very special thanks to our Bedrock tier member on the channel, David. Thanks a lot, everybody. I appreciate it, and I'll see y'all next time.